Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Schifrin, and I will call the meeting of the Select Board to order on June 10th at 3 p.m. And I'll ask for a roll call.
Veronica Cal present, remote.
Very good, present.
And Laura Schifrin present. We also have Lucio with us. Thank you, Sue. Nelson and Sabrina is in the building. Will she be attending?
No, she has to leave.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yep.
I did remember that. The meeting is being recorded and uploaded to YouTube. Is anyone else recording the meeting? You'll do. Okay. Hearing that no one else is recording the meeting, our town clerk has just come in. Our meeting will also be uploaded to YouTube, and I've already said that. Okay. Chairman's additions or deletions.
You skipped 1.2.
I did. 1.2. Oh, again, you know what? I have to come back to Townsend, and I'm not back yet.
So you gotta tell people we're doing the Pledge of Allegiance.
Right, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, you didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Please, everyone, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. And please forgive me because my mind is not back here. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to take this opportunity to thank our veterans, as well as all of those who are currently serving our country, and all of our first responders, as well as their families who also sacrifice for us. Under, and I've already done the announcement, 1.4 is additions or deletions. Am I supposed to know of any?
No, but not that I'm aware of. No. If anything comes up, I'll mention it in my TA updates and reports.
Okay, and I have some things to talk about under the liaison reports, so I can do anything additionally at that time. 1.5, review and approve the minutes of April 1st, 2025, which we have received. Is there a motion?
I will abstain, but I'll make the motion. I move to approve meeting minutes from 4/01/2025.
Veronica Cal second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I had a couple updates, and you may have already caught them. I didn't send anything into Sabrina because I just saw these today. But it's under appointments of officials and personnel. There's a typo in there between the two dates, between 4/28/25 and 5/2/25.
Yep, I see that.
If you see that. And then in the paragraph above, Michelle Zelenka is paid, I would say, by a grant there as opposed to as. Or through a grant, one or the other, because it's several towns that share her. So I don't know the best way to put it, but to say is paid as a grant doesn't quite describe it to me. And those were the really the only two that I had. There's a missing apostrophe for a possessive down under the human resources. It says Kells, Kells, where there could be an apostrophe. But these are nits. These are not content related. So content-wise, I'm fine. Oh, I do have one content thing. The price of the bags that were being discussed for the trash, I thought it was $5 for the large, $3.50 for the small. So just reverse those $2 amounts. Do you see where I mean?
Yep.
And other than that, I think I was good.
Okay. Accepting those edits, anything else?
I was on the board. Okay.
All right. I'll take a roll call then for the approval of the minutes with the edits.
Veronica Cal, yes.
I would have abstained.
Okay, and Laura Schiffern, yes. Make sure that gets done. Okay, we have no appointments. And under 2 or 3, under 4, we're going to the unanimous budget.
Lori, does, we're on 4.3 up, so Harrison can, the special town election.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just here in case you have any questions. The letter should be self-explanatory, but just in case there were any questions.
Laurie, could I ask a question on that? It was, we're looking at 4.3, the dates for the special election, should it pass a town meeting next week. Harrison, there was a Monday, Tuesday question around June 10th. Do you see that in the handout that you mailed? I don't know if it's been corrected. I looked at it before I think I left town, or I might have been, I don't know. But in any event, I did look at it and I saw that. And I was wondering if we noticed you today for the earliest election. Is that too late? Did it have to have been yesterday as opposed to today? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do believe, let's see here. So the text of the law is, notwithstanding the provisions of any general or special law to the contrary establishing a later time, a city or town clerk shall not print on a city or town election ballot any question to the voters for which he receives final written notice after the 35th day before such election. So my interpretation of that is that today being the 35th day, if I were to receive the language after today, it would not be able to go on that ballot. If I were to receive it today, it would be acceptable.
Okay.
I want to provide that as an option if that is what the board wanted, but it doesn't necessarily have to be noticed today.
So it's
desire.
So it is Tuesday, June 10th.
The Monday, Tuesday. I'm sorry, I didn't notice that. Yes, Tuesday, June 10th is what should have been written there. And yes, the notice,
that's all I want. Yeah, I just wanted to know if we could do it today or if we were already too late for that date. I wasn't sure. Okay, because I prefer an earlier date. That gave us what, July 15th for the vote, if I remember right?
Yes.
Okay. So that was the only comment I had. And I guess
The one thing I will say with an earlier date, because we have an obligation under the law to provide absentee and vote by mail ballots, if the board did vote for the earlier date, the earlier it is, the faster I have to move with our vendors to print the ballots and prepare things like that. And the most substantial costs are the most immediate costs and have the longest lead time. So the printing of the ballots, the programming of the tabulators are both done by the same company, and that cost of several $1,000s is incurred all at once. So if the board did vote that today, I would be on the phone with them right away.
okay, but it's doable even with the cost.
Yeah,
and
I just want for full transparency to the board, that cost would be incurred immediately.
Okay, thanks.
But there is a risk, obviously, if at the special town meeting it's voted down and we somehow vote to have the town election, then we would incur those costs and not have the election. So that's kind of that's where the risk comes in, that we would be spending money that.
Now, another option the board could consider is, let's say, you do pick the earlier date, it were to fail at the June 18th town meeting. If it were to pass at the ballot box, you could call another special town meeting to appropriate that. If it were to fail at an additional special town meeting, I understand that's not desirable, but that is an option should the board choose to pursue that.
So that is true. If it would pass at the ballot box.
It could be brought for appropriation if the board desired.
Right.
I'm not sure if we're,
Going back and around.
yeah. I mean, you can certainly discuss it now, but I that probably wasn't part of the plan, so to speak. For this.
So,
Go ahead.
Oh, Nelson, Harrison, you had given me your recommendation on the dates for cost purposes.
For cost purposes,
So
if
would
the
be
board were
correct.
to wait until after town meeting, so the earliest I provided, you could certainly meet sooner than Monday, June 24th. But if you were to, provide notice of ballot language June 24th or later, it would be the last week of July into the start of August for that election. Costs wouldn't be incurred yet. So, and you could certainly provide notice of a particular date if you have a preference now. But I could wait until after town meeting to incur costs. That would give enough lead time to fulfill our obligations for absentee and vote by mail.
Pleasure of the board. Thoughts? I mean, I have thoughts, but, Veronica?
I guess my thought is, I mean, since we're asking for an override, I am not opposed to putting it on the ballot and seeing if it would pass or not. The people who attend town meeting are not the same people who go to the ballot box. And we wouldn't be asking if it wasn't already necessary. So and it does, in fact, then incur the cost of another special town election. And just, drag out the whole process of finally being able to figure out where we are for next year financially with certainty. So I don't know, I guess I lean to wait, but if it's only another week, then maybe it's worth waiting until after we see what happens at town meeting to make that decision. Because we can, even without the town meeting vote, make the decision to have an election. So.
Yeah, I mean, that would put July 29th. And I mean, just with how tight the budget is, I would be hesitant to spend if then the town did not want that. That's my hesitation.
Now, there is already a special town meeting article with an appropriation for election expenses. So this would be funded out of that special town meeting article. I believe it was a free cash appropriation. So there are already funds earmarked for an election purpose. It wouldn't take away from next year's regularly scheduled local. But it certainly would save the cost if you were to wait until Tuesday, July 29th is the earliest date.
I guess the question becomes, if we go forward with the question, with the election being the earlier date, and we go with it now and incur the cost of the ballot and go ahead with the election regardless, are we willing to do another special town election to appropriate the funds if in fact it would pass at the ballot box?
A special town meeting?
A special town meeting. What did I say?
Election.
Yeah, special town meeting. Yeah.
And a special town meeting certainly would be doable, and that's the lowest cost piece of this. But whether over the summer there would be even a quorum potentially, that does raise concerns. But the special town meeting doesn't necessarily have to be called right away. If we know that everyone's on vacation, the town meeting could be called later in August.
But if we were still doing that, we would be on 1/12 funding. If we were still, how would we be running? Correct?
Yeah, pretty much. And that can get messy.
But we did that for how many months last year?
Well,
Two.
I think August 20th was the special
So
town.
July and August.
Yeah. But, we were able to balance the budget without any big changes, so to speak. So this time around, I think it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
There was injury to the head. There was a laceration on the rear part of the center region.
Are we
Who's speaking? I can't tell.
Stall fracture, which is the rear part of your stall, as well as maybe
Who's not muted?
Real deal.
Who's speaking?
there were injuries, which were.
Everyone who's online, please mute yourselves.
It looks like Real Deal has a hand raised.
No, there's someone speaking.
With respect to that. Yes, well, so when you talk about there's some arachnoid, there's
Dave, can you mute everyone, please?
There we go.
Yeah.
Whoever was speaking was not me. If somebody was speaking in that room and Veronica could hear you. I could see the green light lighting up on the select board. It wasn't me.
Everybody is now muted. You'll need to unmute yourself if you're going to speak.
All right, so I guess that's all I have on the topic. So we need to vote on what we want to do here.
Yeah. I think I would feel better if it was after the meeting. Only
I'll agree to
because
that.
try to make it very clear to them, even though they're not the same people. We know from the last override, we need to get more information out because it was vehemently denied. And now we're in a different position. We're asking for less money, although personally, I still think it's wrong. It's not enough money for us to sustain. Some of the acts that have taken place are actually, in my opinion, irresponsible and not sustainable in each year. And it's just going to be worse next year. So, but somehow I still want to see what they have to say, what the people have to say at the meeting. And then we can, as far as I'm concerned, we can meet the next day and take a vote as to what we want to do.
You could, in
Yeah,
that, if you were to
It's
meet that
Tuesday's a
immediately,
holiday, so that's
Oh.
either Friday, the 20th, yeah.
if you were to meet the 20th, that I believe would also make available potentially the Saturday before the July the 29th. Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay, can we do that? We can probably make some kind of time for that
further.
day that we're able to meet on the 20th.
So you're looking for the night
yeah.
after the 20th, right?
Yeah,
I
it's
was looking at
possible.
August.
Okay.
So,
I can't, I'm not 100% certain whether it would open Saturday the 21st and whether we want to whether we want to do a Saturday to begin with, if we want to stick with Tuesdays, since that's what people are used to, but it could potentially move it up sooner.
Okay.
Well, we can discuss that after, but make our decision after the meeting.
Can we make the motion so that if it were to pass at town meeting, then we would notify the town clerk on whatever the next, for the 20th? Yeah, we wouldn't have to meet. We could just make the motion now that if it was to pass a town meeting, we would go forward.
We're gonna know what's happening.
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds like a plan.
I'll make a motion that if the override were to pass at the June 27th meeting, that we would,
No, the June 7th,
sorry,
June 18th meeting.
June 18th, sorry, I'm like looking at 5 dates here, June 18th meeting, that we would then notify to have a proposed date of, well, we would meet on Friday.
No, you're saying we wouldn't have to meet.
Yeah,
Right, I'm saying we wouldn't have to meet. We would just,
the notice would be posted on June 20th.
yes.
Or the language could be
Yeah.
provided by, the town administrator and town council
On
to the
June
town
20th.
clerk.
but we would need to also agree on the election date itself.
Mhm.
If you wanted to pick a date as a part of that contingent motion, that certainly, I don't see an issue with that.
What is the soonest date you can have?
If you were to wait until after the town meeting, let me double check that. It could be sooner than Tuesday, the 29th. So if the notice were to be provided on June 20th, to me, then the earliest date could be Thursday, July 25th.
Let's go with that then.
That is a Friday, by the way.
I'm sorry, that's 2024.
Now that's 2 times.
So Friday, July 25th.
Is having a town election on a Friday?
Not wise.
So that means we would have to push it
Tuesday,
out.
July 29th.
Yeah, so it would be the 29th then.
Okay, let's go with that then.
I have seen them done on Fridays and Saturdays, and you may, get
Different.
folks on
I
those
think
days.
just a summer Friday or Saturday. no.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Tuesday, at least you have some shot. So, okay, so I'll make a motion that pending approval at the special town meeting on June
18th.
18th, that we would give notice to town clerk afterwards for a proposed election date of July 29th.
I will second that. Veronica Kell second.
Any further discussion? And then I'll take a roll call vote.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Harrison.
Thanks, Harrison.
Thank you,
Doing
Harrison.
that.
Appreciate this.
Yeah.
4.3. Okay, so before we start the 4.1, I just want to say that thank you all for what you did while I was gone. I did not watch meetings while I was gone, but I have attended and watched meetings since I've been back. And yeah, my head's spinning from all that you did. I agree, the last one that I saw was a joint with the Board of Health. And thank you for your participation in that, as well as those other residents who participated. I know Cindy was one of them. So thank you all. And Sue, for coming and supporting at the select board meetings. I did hear that and appreciate your expertise there. Okay, 4.1, Nelson.
So, we had to redo the omnibus budget to sort of take into account the proposed salary and wages cuts that we would have made if the override didn't pass. But, now there's a slightly different version, if the override did pass. So there's kind of two versions of the budget, so to speak, that, we would be presenting. I think the one that we would be voting on today is at the functional segment, similar to what we did last month. I think Valerie had abstained last time because you weren't really part of the development of it. I think since then you certainly have been brought up to speed. Would you be comfortable?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let me just.
And did you have any questions on it, Lori? On what we did for the?
I understand what we did, or what you did.
Yeah, so, just to recap, the grand total at the functional level, is an amount, but right above it was the amount of wages and salaries reductions that we were going to propose in order to balance the budget.
Mhm.
With the override article, we would, we would, not have to make those cuts. That's what we're proposing anyways, that we not make those reductions in wages and salaries. So, so that's what we would be voting on today.
That background noise is back. I don't know where it's coming from.
There might be someone next door. Well,
Okay.
Sue's gonna quiet them down.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
so I did listen to a joint select board and finance committee meeting
From
that
last
occurred
week?
after I left.
Yep, I think it was last week, I think.
No. I'm not sure. I
2
saw
weeks
that.
ago.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
sorry, it's kind of a blur at the moment.
So, in hearing some of how, the select board recommendation was made or received, by members of the public who were speaking, they're not seeing our point of view.
In terms of how the budget is being presented.
Yeah, like they still have their own opinions of how, it should be versus what we have attempted to do. I'm not sure how the message is going to be delivered or, come forward to the voters. And even if they ask questions on the 18th that are specific to people or positions, it's not anything we can answer. And correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that is absolutely correct. And I think that's where some of the difference of opinion is coming from. This is something that we have time and time again reached out to town labor council, and we simply cannot disclose any of that information. As much as we would like to be transparent and honest about where the potential reductions would be coming from, we have been advised time and time again, we can't do that. So we are presenting this budget as best as we can to the public without getting us into legal trouble.
We're also being accused of not being sensitive to the desires of the residents. And I don't see how, that was in the meeting, I don't see how we can be any more sensitive to the running of our departments that needs to be done for the town. I don't know how that is going to come across or how we're going to be able to combat that form of thinking. I mean, this will be in the hands of the voters, okay? And what they're asking us to do is not feasible or sustainable without this. I mean, we've been talking about the same thing since March 10th. What was done to our budget on March 10th is not responsible and it is not sustainable. And there's just so much you can take from stabilization and from the larger departments, take away from them to the point where they're not going to be able to function properly. And I'm not an expert at police matters or fire matters or conservation matters or planning board matters. Well, I should have a little bit about the planning board, but you know what I'm getting at. And we have people leaving. There's been 2 resignations One was, is it, our accountant, assistant accountant?
Yeah.
And maybe you're reporting that later. But I mean, that, we have a longtime volunteer who's resigned. And we need more volunteers and more staff, not less.
Mhm.
So, I appreciate everybody's opinion, as a resident, but I have to say they're not part of the departments. They're not part of what is actually happening in town on a day-to-day basis. So I'm hoping that the general public that will be voting will try to see not the screaming or not the suggestion of, well, we can get rid of this, we don't need this, that they need to have some reliability on the people who are actually participating on a daily basis. And that's all I have to say. I'm kind of frustrated by what I've seen, happening.
I think I'd just add that I think the financial part of it got bad starting last year. So, I think that's an important thing to remember is that last year, that's why we can only go up 0.5%.
Yeah.
It's because
Oh, I
last
agree.
year, yeah. So, and so
I
that
agree.
those two pieces.
But
Like,
still, taking money from
oh
stabilization
yeah,
fund
absolutely.
or free cash and
Yeah.
having that gone that's not responsible and not sustainable.
Well, and it's perpetuating the problems of last year
Right,
where we
which
used
we
one-term
ignore.
fundings and we're doing it again.
Right, so it'll be worse in 27.
In a lot of ways it is, but, these are all Band-Aids that we're putting on
Right now.
the budget, and it's been that way for a while. I think a lot of us know there hasn't been a successful override since 2007. That's, 18 years, so year after year, we're coming up with Band-Aid solutions, which, they work for a year or two, and then problems pop up again, and we have to figure out other ways of fixing it. Free cash, stabilization, additional.
I don't know if they really work. You can say that, but I don't know that they really work because
They work for the 1 or 2 years, and then the problem just comes back again, because it never really truly goes away. So
okay, so I just wanted to make that
Yeah.
statement.
so
It's not going to change.
So I think, at the moment, I think, the select board should just, do what we have done similarly in May, which is vote at the functional segment level. And I think the numbers actually might essentially be the same as last time.
Do we want to vote for two numbers with the override and without the override?
Did you want to do it at the functional segment level, or just?
I mean, I just wondered if we wanted to vote for the two. So online,
Which is that?
This,
Right there. I don't have that.
no, yeah, I just printed it.
Oh,
So this would be, the budget, without the override.
so my question is do we also, at town meeting, are we presenting this as the two numbers with override and without override? Are we asking people to vote on both of those?
this shows,
Both.
will show how much of a cut will be in each segment.
So
I'm just wondering how we vote on that.
Yeah,
Like, so if
You're gonna do the special first.
yeah, that's the
Correct.
question.
Yeah,
So we just have to vote on the two versions, correct?
correct,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, we will present that, to the voters. And depending on how the special town meeting, vote goes, you can ignore either the budgets, depending on how.
But this board should vote on both of them.
I think so, just to be safe.
It's pretty
Uh,
sad.
I would agree that we need to vote on both. So our first vote would be general government at line 254, correct? And we would vote on each of those numbers, the one with the override, the one with the override meaning if the override were successful, and the one with if the override is not successful. The one comment I want to make is down at the bottom, and this would be more for at the very, very bottom of the budget, where you have the final totals there. I would just, this is a presentation thing. I would like to see the difference between these two numbers right above. So salary and wage changes or whatever the terminology is above, just above that one line there. So between the two bolded black lines.
Okay, so that would essentially be the 258, 827 total.
Correct. And
Okay.
I would put in that, and that's just for, not for our voting purposes, but just so that people can, because they may not make the connection between that line above each of the bolded functional segments and the final. That's the only change I would make to this. I would also, when you put this up, not put up the extra tabs for personnel expenses, worksheet, sheet one cuts, because they are not, they haven't been updated necessarily.
Right.
So just the omnibus budget tab to
One
be,
other question. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
to be posted, that's all. Go ahead, Valerie.
One other question I have too is so the percentage changes,
It's
They-
different from one to the other, yeah.
and so I'm wondering, it also is inaccurate with once those salary wage changes are put into place.
Right, so we might want to do two percentages on the side there, one with the wage changes and one without, and maybe offset the columns somehow. Do you see what, I understand what Valerie's saying, because same question with the 0.5 at the bottom there.
But so we can't do the percentage change with the wage lines though. We can do it at the functional line, right?
At the functional line. I would leave everything the same except at the functional line, where you put two different percentages.
Yep, I can add that.
And that shouldn't change our vote today. That's more of a presentation thing for clarity than anything else.
But I would refer to this when making the vote. Yeah, so we'll be starting at the, general government total and then working our way down.
And I also want to say that it's 4:38 and around 4:55, I'm going to need to see if I can get in another way.
Okay, so time is of the essence, so let's do this while Veronica still has internet access.
And question after listening to the Board of Health meeting, and maybe it wasn't the last Board of Health meeting, but is this accurate if they're looking to get money out of our stabilization fund? This minus 97, this basically, my understanding was this was just what was the municipal buildings. That's
Correct.
all that was left
Correct,
for the solid waste.
that is correct.
Okay.
Yep, and some additional expenses.
Where does it come from? How is that reflected if they want money from stabilization?
Well, stabilization is not part of the
This
omnibus
budget.
Yeah, so it is accounted for, but not in the budget that you're looking at.
Okay.
Yep. So how should the sequence of voting go? I know it should be at the functional level, segment level. You want to do one version of the budget and then work our way down, or do you want to do it side by side, each one?
Up to you
This-
guys.
This is Veronica Cal. I would do it side by side.
Okay.
One with the override and then without the override.
I agree. So I would move to accept for the FY 26 budget, general government total with an override 1,677,585 and 1,649,936.
I have a question. Is it 555 or 585 for the,
55,
Yeah.
55?
Did you say
okay,
something?
I thought I said five, I thought I heard 585.
Thank
Can we do that motion again?
I move that we accept for the FY 26 general government budget, 1,677,555 with an override and 1,649,936 without an override.
Veronica Cal, second.
Any further discussion on general government? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
And I'll just add that without an override represents 27,619 reduction in that line.
27,001.
619.
Does that need to be part of the motion?
No, that's just math.
Okay, all right,
I'll just say it afterwards for anybody listening in.
Okay.
okay. All right, moving down to public safety then. And the line is, I'm looking for it. I have it rolling underneath my screen here. 501.
Yep. I move that we accept for the FY 26 public safety total with an override an amount of 4,324,440 and without an override a number of 4,186,036.
Veronica Cal, second.
Discussion, what was the difference?
The difference is 138,404.
Without the override. Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
Moving on to 510.
582.
Well, we have to accept
No,
education.
We have to-
Oh, education, where is it? 510?
10.
No, can't be. Oh, yeah, okay, thank you.
No problem.
I think it stays. We'll just keep.
We can't do anything with it. It
What's
is
that?
what it is.
Yeah,
We need to vote it. It's part of our total budget.
Okay.
Ready? I move that we accept for the FY 26 budget an education total of 16,765,463 with an override and 16,765,463 without an override.
Veronica Cal, second.
Okay. Sue, do you have a comment?
I'm concerned, Nelson, I mentioned it to you, but I'm concerned that we've already raised and appropriated $400,000 for the North Middlesex line. They did that at the March meeting.
Right.
If we were doing that at the same time, it would have been two motions on town meeting floor. One to approve an appropriation for 400,000. In essence, reducing the number that is at the bottom line.
Right.
I don't see that being accounted for when we're voting on this budget. The 400,000 hasn't been minused off of what you're asking us to vote for.
This, can I comment?
Yeah,
Please.
This is the omnibus budget, and it includes any funds that were appropriated. And so that 400,000 is part of this 16,765,463 dollars. So it's not that we're appropriating over and above that 400,000. There was also 200K in free cash.
If you look at the line item, Veronica,
Mm-hmm.
for North Middlesex,
Mm-hmm.
prior to the March meeting, or at the March meeting, what did they allocate from raise and appropriate? 400,000, right?
It's 411 and change.
Okay.
411 and change,
What did
yeah.
And what did that bring their total assessment number to? Is the number we're looking at on here the total assessment? Or is it minus the 400 that they've already appropriated?
It's the total assessment.
All right, so if that's the total assessment, aren't we paying the 400 in two places then?
No,
Where did we minus out the already appropriated 400,000?
okay, I think I mentioned this before, and this is how I see it, but I might not be seeing it right.
And please
Okay.
help me, because I
Well, I don't know if this is any help, honestly, but we had to take, the motion was for us to absorb, the town to absorb $411,000 in our portion of assessed value from the from the regional school, and absorb it into our budget. So our first round of 20% cut in expenses was, which I don't know what the total of that was, but was to absorb what they made us absorb into our other budget, which meant others were gonna all give up that $411,000.
So what they did wasn't to raise and appropriate.
No.
What they did was to add 400,000 to our budget.
Correct, which we then had to find a place to take from.
Gotcha. All
Which
right,
is what
then
we
you're
did.
good. Then you're good.
Okay, thank you, because that is how I understood
That
it.
makes perfect sense. It was not explained that way to
Okay.
me before.
But that's what hurts so much, okay?
Oh no, it's just the logic. I was having
Okay.
trouble with the logic of it. I had trouble with the vote, actually,
Yeah.
when I heard about it. but
Many of us
that's
did.
another story.
Many of us did.
Okay.
Thank
Okay, let's move on to highway and streets.
Oh, we need to, did we
Oh.
vote on it?
No, we
Yeah,
didn't
you
vote on
did
it, but
vote.
we
Sorry.
have discussed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are at a point where this is just absorbed. It has nothing to do with the override.
Yep.
Okay, and that's the number. So motion made and seconded, and we've discussed. Roll call vote.
Veronica Cal, present.
Yes or no?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did I say present? I'm trying to get in on the phone to the meeting. Sorry. Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes.
Let's move through these, and while we still have Veronica.
Okay,
I move for the line number 468. I move for the FY 26 budget, highway and streets total that we accept. Sorry, did not bring reading glasses. $876, $876,188 with an override, $812,793 without.
Veronica Cal second.
Difference?
The difference being
63,
63,395.
Okay, I like having the numbers here on the
Yeah.
same thing. Without the override. Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Solid waste.
I move that we accept for the FY 26 budget solid waste total with an override an amount of 19,700 and without an override amount of 19,700.
Okay, any further discussion?
Wait, Veronica Cal second. Did I second it?
No.
No. Okay, go ahead.
We have a first and second discussion. Hearing none, doesn't change. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Human Services.
I move that we accept for the FY 26 budget human services total an amount of 521,170 with an override, an amount of 507,284 without an override,
Difference?
13,886.
Veronica Cal second.
Any further discussion? And I have that it's 13,886 difference. Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Culture and Recreation.
I move for the FY 26 budget culture and recreation total that we accept an amount of 549,773 with an override, an amount of 534,249 without an override.
Veronica Cal second.
Difference?
15,523.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Debt service.
I move for the FY 26 budget, we accept a debt total of 405,480 with an override and 405,480 without an override.
That's no difference.
Veronica Cal second.
Okay, and there's no difference, so, any discussion? Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes. Insurance.
I move for the FY 26 budget that we accept insurances total of 2,711,986 with an override, and the same number 2,711,986 without an override.
Veronica Cal second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
And then
Do you want to do the total?
Yeah.
Okay.
I move for the FY 26 municipal budget that we accept the number of 27,851,755 with an override and 92,926 without an override. The difference being
258, 820.
which is the amount that we're asking for the override,
Correct.
which only contains
Salary, wages, and benefits.
Thank you.
All right, Veronica Cal second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schiffern, yes.
All right, thank you. I'm going to leave the meeting and try to come back in with the phone numbers that were posted in the agenda.
Okay.
Can you just confirm for me that it's 301-715-8592?
Correct.
And the username is 852-3503-1 1875. That's the passcode, and the password is 150223.
Correct.
Okay, I'll call in if I can't get a hotspot rolling.
Okay,
Okay.
so, without you, we can still have a quorum. Should we just continue? Or
Um,
wait for?
We can give you a couple minutes.
Yeah, give me just about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
So reconvene at 5 o'clock, take a quick break.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm leaving. I'll be right back.
Are you?
Okay.
Okay. All right, I'm going to actually take a bit break.
Yeah, do you want to just?
Like, how come I can't do it?
Oh, I'll do it. I want to discuss it more. Oh, there's Veronica.
Yay, okay, we're back.
You just need to unmute yourself, Veronica.
They left the Wi-Fi on for me. I'm now in the parking lot. They go home for supper and close the building.
Oh, it's nice of them to keep
Oh,
alive.
It was very nice of them.
Okay, very good.
So we are now on to 4.2.
4.2. So we had an open meeting law complaint that I need to read into the record.
Oh, no, this is this the one that, was June 4th?
No.
No.
This is a
No,
5th.
it was the May 5th meeting.
Didn't we just get one? There was an email when I got back that I just read. I thought that the email, maybe it was the email was dated June 4th?
There's been, I don't think there's one dated June 4th. Maybe it was some other thing you're referring to. We'll talk about it offline, but we need to read this,
Okay, go ahead.
complaint into the record.
Okay.
There's another one coming, if this is not the one that I read. Go ahead.
Let me make sure this is the meeting of 5/13. Okay, so after I meet this. I'll read this right first. So this is from Cindy King, West Elm Street, West Townsend. And the date of the alleged violation is 5/5/2025. Description of alleged violation: a quorum of the 3-member select board BOS violated the open meeting law by attending the finance committee FinCom on 5/5/2025 without posting meeting and deliberating on topics within their jurisdiction, the town budget. The meeting was attended by Veronica Kell, who attended first on Zoom and then attended in person, and Valerie Val-Goodrich, who attended on Zoom through the entire meeting. I, the complainant, attended the meeting in its entirety on Zoom. 22:30, Veronica Kell began interacting with the FinCom regarding the town budget developed by a select board for annual town meeting scheduled for the following night on 5/6/2025. She continued to contribute information and deliberated on the budget for most of the meeting. Val-Goodrich did not speak during the meeting or show herself on video. Her name was visible as an attendee on Zoom. I confirmed with her after me that she did attend on Zoom. I believe this is an intentional violation by Kell. This is the 3rd open meeting law complaint I have filed against her on 2 different boards for the same behavior this year. AGO determinations have not been made in the previous complaints as of this filing. Townsend YouTube link, and there's URL. Would you like me to read?
I think when I read whatever the last time, it had what what action do you want public body to take in response to your complaint?
Admit the violations, stop violating the open meeting law, attend open meeting law training and specific to their roles, post a meeting when planning to attend another meeting to allow for deliberation. This can be done just in case the attendees do know in advance what areas are within their jurisdiction that is being discussed at the other meeting. Board members can ask each other about meeting attendance and plan accordingly.
Has this,
Yeah, we have the next part, the town councils.
yeah, how come I don't? Or do I?
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, here's the meeting, the finance committee, and then, yes, go
In the
ahead.
meeting of 5/13/2025, the select board voted to designate direct town council to draft and respond to Cindy King's open meeting law complaint. Was drafted, an extension was granted for response and is now due on 6/16/2025. So I will read both of these.
I don't think you need to read the response into the record.
I don't have to read response into the record.
No, that's what, remember last time we didn't do
Okay.
that. So you would just be, you would just make a motion to have
Okay.
town council respond to the OML complaint.
I move to release the response drafted by town council to Cindy King's May 12th, 2025 open meeting law complaint.
Veronica Cal second.
Is there any discussion?
I have none.
Okay, so, is this allowing the response to go back to the complainant? Is that what the motion is for, when it says release the response?
Yeah, so, town council has drafted up a response.
Yeah.
To the complaint.
Yeah.
So, we would now send it to the,
Oh, it has not been sent.
as nothing. That's what we'll.
There's also a response to the director of the Division of Open Government
From,
from town council.
okay. And that includes both responses. The motion is for both responses to be sent.
I think
One
I
to the
should probably
state.
add to that. I move to release the response drafted by town council to city. Oh yeah, no, it's that. I think that fits both.
Okay.
And I am good with that. I don't know if that changed the motion at all.
No, I rescinded my change.
Okay.
I was incorrect.
You think it
No, I think we're
includes
good.
both?
But it says, yeah, I move to release the response drafted. And this is part of the response, so it's not.
Okay. Hearing none, roll call,
Veronica
Really?
Cal, yes.
Valerie Goodrich, yes.
and Laura Schiffern, yes. Okay, and I will correct my previous statement. It wasn't open meeting law. It was public records request.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now we've been to 1, 2, 3. All right. Under work session 5.1, town administrator's report.
I don't have a ton of you did allude to earlier, we have a couple of, resignations that came in, yesterday afternoon into the evening. So, as of right now, I don't think they've been officially stamped in downstairs yet, with the town clerk's office, but I feel like I should mention it because we're not gonna be meeting for another week, so I just wanna make sure, people are aware. The assistant town accountant has given their notice and their last day will be, July 9th. And the other resignation was, Nathan Matilla. He's on the Maddow, sorry. He's on the Board of Water Commissioners. So he sent in his resignation yesterday evening. I don't know if he attended the meeting itself, but I did get.
You did not.
He did
I
not.
was there.
Okay. So but I received the email last night. So So to your point, we need as many volunteers as we can get, and we need qualified, staff, and so it's gonna be a big loss, losing the assistant town accountant, but I wish her well in her, her new endeavor. I didn't ask about it, but, they're gonna be missed.
And when are we addressing the vacancy?
So at the moment, behind the scenes, I'm trying to figure out if, we can, I've already talked to Pepperell about it. I'm still trying to work out some details. I know Ashby has a similar situation where they have a consultant, CBiz Markham. They come in, I think, once every 2 weeks, and they do all the warrants. They're much smaller towns, so that person only needs to come in every other week. We're about 3 times that size, so I think if we were to have a similar arrangement, it'd probably be a full day.
A week?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know what that cost would look like. I'll reach out to Markham CBiz to see if they can give us a proposal on that.
That's the accountant firm
Correct.
that kind of backs up
Yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah, they're technically the town accountant at the moment. So,
Okay.
yeah, so they would just find someone to be here in person, probably, 1 day a week to backfill until we figure out, do we want this to be a permanent arrangement, or do we, want to go back out and post a position to have someone actually be in that role versus, once a week.
Okay.
But I'm working with Pepperell to see if there's any sharing of resources potentially, because I think their full town accountant is also part-time as well. But they also have an assistant town accountant as well that might be part-time as well. So there might be some sharing of resources, but there's no guarantee that they would go for it. But I'm having the conversations right now.
I think it's an important part of the conversations for the next year, based on, we're all in the same school district and we all are facing the same situation. So anytime we can talk to them and they talk to us and figure out if there's anything we can do together.
Yep. And, in the meantime, we'll figure out a stopgap measure, and if we need some additional time to come up with a more permanent long-term solution, this is sort of the time to be doing it, since there's going to be a pending vacancy. So I'm working the angles to see short-term and long-term what the solution might be.
So yeah, thanks. So for this fiscal year closing out FY25, we will have the assistant town accountant and CBiz that's already in place. And the assistant town accountant, Katie's staying long enough to get things in place, if she can, for the new fiscal year, if we are resolved by that time. So there will be, I guess when it comes to talking to CBiz, just make sure that they have, because they were one of the people that Katie went out for 3 quotes for next year for the town accountant, for the things that a town accountant has to sign off on. And I think we had selected the one that Katie had recommended, which I believe is different from CBiz. So maybe we need to revisit those quotes and make sure that they're still in place.
Right, because they may not be.
Correct.
If I remember.
And if, in fact, we decide we're staying with a consultant, I think we have to, there will be an RFP process involved for that. Correct? Because it will be more than the amount that Katie had looked at earlier for support for an assistant town clerk.
Right, correct. And I don't think That's one of the exempt services through the procurement laws, so yeah, we would have to put out an RFP of some sort to solicit proposals.
So maybe this is an agenda item for the meeting after town meeting.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have next meeting
It'll
set
be
up.
on- Yeah, it should be on each agenda until it's resolved.
Yep, agreed.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else that you had?
That was it.
Do you have any reports, liaison?
I do not. No.
Okay.
Not waiting for, I'll have a whole bunch of them after town meeting just to review them, so things are going, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, I do. First, some exciting things happening at planning board. I was so proud of them, yesterday. They did a great job. They have, it's a, new board, well, half new. And I want to commend Hartley for being very participatory. He did a great job. Andrew did a great job as the chair. They heard 2 proposals for ADUs, one on Trophy Ave and one at 83 Fitchburg Road, which was very well received. The A&R for the Kids Country Playground was approved. To cut out that piece from town ownership, actually. I don't know what's going to happen to it. They subdivided it, but I also heard something about, or they had to do the subdivision because of the grant money, and there can't be a school on the property.
Yeah, so.
That's the background, if anybody didn't know.
Well, that's where the A&R came in,
Yeah.
to play. So yeah,
Okay.
they're carving off.
And this is legally now okay. And
Yeah,
I did have a question, not only on this, but supposedly on, is the back of this, the town hall, that property, is that being changed into a outdoor fitness? Or was I dreaming that somebody told me that?
no, there are plans for fitness court. That's what it's called. We have the equipment, but
Probably good for another meeting.
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I have concerns about insurance and liability, so if you could find out about that.
Okay.
It was members of the public that told me about it. So, let's see, we also had, and I want to bring to everyone's attention that this coming Saturday morning, the 14th, from 10 to 2 is the roundtable discussions on our economic development. And the flyer for that is on our website. In that flyer, there's a survey. I hope that everyone takes the survey, please. As of last night's meeting, MRPC only had 23 survey responses. And so I just wanted to make the announcement here that we're looking for more input from the community for development.
is there a QR code?
Laurie, what is the deadline for that to be put in? The response to the survey?
The survey, they say it closes on Friday, June 13th at noontime.
Okay,
If someone just wants to bring a flyer over to the library, I'll put it up.
it's right on the website.
I know, but just like,
Oh,
if I can get a copy of it, I'll bring it over.
is there a copy here in town hall of the flyer?
I can print one.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll bring it over there, so
Okay.
maybe get some responses.
So there is the QR code. I took the survey. 2 minutes to take the survey. It also asks if you want to help in the assistance of, is that it right there?
Yep.
It is.
Okay. So again, I encourage everyone to take the survey. What was it for time? Yeah, good meeting. Oh, also, we had a second public hearing for 324 Main Street, which is the redevelopment of what was an old gas station there.
Mhm.
And, you know, somebody gave me something about brownfields. Oh,
I remember
Town
seeing that.
Properties is going to be looking, that's the other thing, Town Properties will be meeting next week before the annual. And on the agenda is brownfields from MRPC, but the only property that I knew that was ever, in Townsend anyway, that would have been affected by the brownfields was the old gas station in the harbor, which was the carpet store and whatever else, but.
I can talk to that, Lori. The other one was the one that is being redeveloped was also a brownfield site. The difference is that that owner complied with everything that the state required. I don't know the final disposition. The last time I looked at this was probably 5 years ago. And that owner had complied with and done everything that was required by the state, as opposed to the harbor site, which had not done that.
Okay. Okay.
So
That was my question, and that was my only other.
I don't know the final disposition, but I do know that they were compliant with state
Okay.
regs.
Okay. That'll be helpful, obviously, for them. I don't remember them talking about brownfields at the hearing last night. It was just when I was asked about it, when I went to talk about Town Properties next meeting, that MRPC wanted the Town Properties to look at the brownfields thing. And
you can find all that information on the state website, where they class the brownfields, and all of that is available there.
Yeah.
Can you just, for people, reiterate what MRPC stands for?
Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission.
Someone asked that, and I just wanted everybody to hear that.
Of which we are a part of, and have been a very active part of for at least the last, I'm going to say 15 to 20 years. And yeah, so anyway, that part was not brought up at the public hearing last night about them, but that would be the only other place in Townsend that I would think, because other than that, if you were not in compliant, and say maybe it's one of our industrial properties or something like that, it's 50 years, and then they consider it dissipated or whatever. If it was not used in that manner for the 50 years, it goes away by itself, which was the harbor.
That should be looked at, though. So, but
okay,
don't just take my word for it.
Okay. And Town Properties is also going to be revisiting the list and seeing if there are any properties that Town Properties would recommend to selectmen now to put on the auction block or whatever else.
Okay.
Okay, so a report will be coming from that. And then on the water commissioners, I just want to say, I was saddened to see Nathan's resignation. He has been a great asset and volunteer for at least 10 years on the water commissioner. So he was very knowledgeable, and his resignation letter was long and had explanations of why he was resigning, and I do feel bad, and I want to thank him very much for all the contributions that he did make to Townsend during his service.
I will second that.
Will that be posted so that people know there's an opening they can apply for?
They should be, but the water department has to do that, right?
Well, So that's an elected position.
It is,
How,
Well, they're
Chris is-
probably the.
can be appointed.
If they're the electing authority, they're supposed to notify you, I believe, to post for it.
That is
which I think
correct.
I think they'll do that in the
Yeah.
coming days, but this, is less than 24 hours.
Yeah,
So
this
it's
happened
pretty,
last
it's
night,
pretty
right?
fresh, so I think they're still trying to, work through that.
Mhm.
So I'm sure in the coming days, they will, ask us to post for the vacancy.
And I think that was everything I had to report on from the meetings I attended.
Okay.
And then the liaison too. Oh, yes, the other, and I don't know why it's not on this agenda. The other thing that happened last night was Hartley was appointed to MRPC as the planning board is the primary representative from Townsend, and then select board has the alternate position. But I don't see it on this agenda to address.
It'll be on the next
Okay.
week's agenda.
Okay,
That we will appoint an MRPC alternate from the select board.
okay. And I saw your last meeting when you discussed it, and I am willing to be the alternate because I've just been doing it for so many years.
Yeah.
You know, I just couldn't chair it anymore.
And we held off on it because for the life of me, I couldn't remember
What I said,
if you wanted
heard
it
that.
or you didn't want it,
I
So-
heard your
We were just gonna
discussion.
appoint you to it anyways, you know?
So we didn't want to do the wrong thing. I mean, not that we couldn't undo it, but we might as well just do it the right way.
Yeah.
The first
Well,
time.
they just appointed Hartley last night. So that works out
Mhm.
for it to be done after, yeah. Yeah. And that was all. And just so you all know, my vacation was great. I really missed not being on the boat. And know that I could probably be very happy on one if I could afford it.
Mhm.
And Greece was beautiful and the food was wonderful and the fish was the best ever, except lobster. Other than that, every other fish was fantastic and their food it's just like you're just having everything right from the farm,
Yeah.
okay? The processing is not what is done here. So, I have to tell you something else. I had a couple of Diet Cokes there, and it doesn't taste the same as what we get here, and yet it's still Coca-Cola.
Mhm.
They are not allowed to use certain
Same thing.
ingredients
Mm.
that our government allows.
Got it.
Anyway, any other business to come before us? Probably when our next meeting is, okay.
5.3, just,
Oh, yeah, 5.3.
you have your typical.
I know.
Yeah.
I've mentioned already during this meeting and many times before, but we need more volunteers. We have many open positions. I'm happy to announce that we got 3 or 4 volunteer forms in the last week or so. 3 of them being for Historic District Commission, which has 2 vacancies. And another one was for Amanda Dwight came in.
Mhm.
And hoping that they keep coming in. So whatever you do best, volunteer your efforts to the town.
Mhm.
Our next meeting, 5.4, is on 6/17 at 6 PM. And then 6/18 at 6 PM being the special town meeting. Continuation of our annual meeting, which includes a special town meeting as well
Mhm.
within it. 5.5, is there a motion?
I move to review and sign payroll and bills payable warrants out of session.
Veronica
Yes, sir.
Kell, second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Kell, yes.
Goodrich, yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. We do not have executive session this evening.
Nope.
Okay. If there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 4:21 PM.
427.
4:27. It was light.
Veronica Cal second.
Oh, I need to make a motion. I move that we adjourn at 4:27 p.m.
Veronica Cal second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Veronica Cal, yes.
Good, Jess.
And Laura Schiffern, yes.